Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. Do you like my cup? Freedom Crusaders Alliance. Isn't that cool? This is a really awesome cup that I think Mike Hobbs, did you give me this cup? I'm not sure. I think Mike might have given me this cup. But anyway, I am here for another episode of The Good Parts. This is episode 112. Can you believe it? 112, man. Am I just insane? Maybe so. But yeah, I've been going live for the last 112 weekdays in a row, pretty much. I've had 1 or 2 days off due to holidays and whatnot. But for the good parts, that's the name of the show. The idea is to share one good part from my life and or business in an effort to help me and you spread more freedom, prosperity, abundance, happiness, joy, goodness. See how I start to smile when those words come from my mouth? That's kind of cool, isn't it? That the words you say can change the emotion you feel inside your heart and your soul. I think that's a really, really cool thing. So anyway, in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing a really pivotal, fundamental, crucial, inspiring idea that was taught to me way back in the day. And I want to say hello to Veronique over in Belgium. Thank you for saying hello. Janine also, thank you for saying hello. And if you're watching this live or on the replay and you haven't said hello yet, like Arnita Webb just did, please say hello below and I'll follow in line with everyone who's already said hello, and I'll say hello to you. See, everyone's doing it. It's fun. Just say hello down in the comments. So Bill Fever says hello, Paul. Good to see you, Bill. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I'm going to get straight away into the topic. So as I mentioned, leverage, right? This is one of the big ideas that was taught to me early on in my entrepreneurial journey. You may or may not know my story. I was living in a single wide mobile home and I was making $11 an hour, traveling to and fro this job that I didn't love. And so I wanted a better life for my family. And it didn't seem like the path that I was on at that time was going to lead to the future that I wanted. And so thankfully, I had a friend that introduced me to a network marketing opportunity. This isn't a network marketing presentation, so I just want to say that. However, if you're in network marketing and or affiliate marketing, you can still get great value, I hope, from what I'm going to deliver today. So I joined this company, and in this company, they had a sales presentation. It was a flip chart. Anyone else? Have you guys ever done flip chart presentations, or am I the only one? Am I that much of a dinosaur that I can remember having a flip chart presentation? Is that crazy? I mean, I like to think that I'm kind of young. I'm in my early 40s, but still, that's what we did. We had a flip chart presentation that we would walk around and share with people. Hey, Rita Joy, good to see you. She says, thanks for starting this challenge. Papa Paul, we did our 100th episode today. That's what I'm talking about. Way to go, Rita Joy. And yeah, just the thanks for that reminder. Part of the inspiration and the motivation that caused me to start doing these daily shows is I wanted to inspire other people to begin creating consistent content. And that will, the big reason for that might become more apparent later on in this live. But Rita Joy and Minister Christian, they took the challenge and they've now created 100 episodes on social media. That in and of itself is an amazing accomplishment. So give them a shout out in the comments below. I'm so thankful for your example and your leadership, guys. Danny, hey, good to see you. Tiffany says, hello from South Florida. Thanks for saying hello, Tiffany. Mike says, I still have my flip chart selling life insurance. All right. Well, so I'm not the only dinosaur. Cool. Mike and I have done flip chart presentations. Janine says, oh, yes, I'm way older than you. So did you do flip chart presentations? I'm curious. Tiffany says, yep. Deb says, to flip charts. Is that like a little emoji giving the middle finger to flip charts? I can't really see what that emoji is. Just kidding. It's probably, I don't think there's a middle finger emoji on Facebook. Yeah, so these comments are fun. Deb says, yay, Rita Joy. Thanks for giving Rita Joy a shout out. And Bill says, I wonder how many good parts are out there. I have done 50. Okay, very cool. So Bill's done 52. That is awesome. And also shout out to Bill. I've seen your content just get better and better and better because I see you in my social media feed and I think you're doing a great job. So, oh, Deb says raising hand. Okay. So it's a raised hand without the middle finger. That's what that emoji was. Very cool. Okay. So anyway, back to the story. So I wanted to have success in this company and I started to think to myself, okay, what would be one thing I could do to have success? And one immediate idea came was well, if you're going to be going through this flip chart, maybe it would be a good idea to prepare what you're going to say when you show people this flip chart. And this company, in addition to the flip chart, they also had a sales presentation script, like what to say on each slide. So I decided that I was going to memorize that sales presentation. And I remember the many mornings before my job, I would wake up. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting in the bathroom of our 1984 single wide mobile home on the toilet, lid down. I want to get the wrong idea. And I had this presentation in front of me, and I was memorizing. I was memorizing what the presentation was. And so I got really familiar with this presentation. And this company that I'm talking about, I didn't make any money in, which oftentimes I reflect back and I say, I didn't make any money in it. But then I think of the things that I learned that have now helped me to create a lot of income. And I think, is it true that I didn't make any money in that company? I don't know if that's quite true. I mean, I didn't receive any funds, but I learned things that then invested into later returns. Anyway, one of the pages in this presentation was called leverage. And it was teaching people how wealthy people they think and do things differently than most people. And this was one of the things that it talked about, is that wealthy people know and understand leverage. And so I wanted to just share a definition for leverage in case you're you haven't come across this concept. And I'm guessing you probably have. You've probably heard the word, right? But I wanted to share a definition and then also share a question that is probably a good question to ask yourself, that can guide your daily activities. And then I want to highlight a couple areas in my business. I've been building a business online for 14 years now. I got online in 2009. And so as I reflect back over my 14-year history in online marketing, and I ask myself, okay, you learned about leverage in this trailer house. And by the way, the slide in that presentation, the way that it was outlining leverage was talking about how wealthy people, they get loans for real estate. And so with loans for real estate, you can buy more with less, right? We've probably all heard no money down, made famous by Robert Allen, how to buy and sell real estate with no money down. How do you acquire a property with no money? I mean, certainly that would be getting more with less, right? So that was the kind of the thrust of the explanation in that presentation. But what's really cool about great ideas is if they're a principle, then they can be applied in many different ways. So I quickly decided that getting millions of dollars in debt was not the leverage that I wanted for my family, but I continued to remember this idea. So a simple definition for leverage is how to getting more with less. And if you think about the metaphor of a lever, you can imagine like, a person on one side of a rock with this lever, and then on the other side, something really, really heavy. What's really, really heavy? Let's imagine like, a weight set, like a bar with like 400 pounds. That's kind of heavy. And so if you're a normal person, you couldn't lift that up with your hands and your arms. But if you instead put that weight on the other side of this bar and you put your normal body weight down on one side, all of a sudden, magically, that weight lifts and you can do more with less. That's the basic concept of leverage. And so how does this apply to online marketing? And what's the question you can ask yourself? The question you can ask yourself is, when you look at your daily activities, here's the question is, what can I do that will reach the highest amount of people in the time that I have? Because breaking down this definition of leverage, getting more with less. With less what? Getting more with less time or getting more with less money. So that's the idea. We've got a business, we've got a certain amount of time, we've got a certain amount of money, and we want to reach people. We want to reach people with our marketing. So if you can ask yourself this question, in my day today, what can I do that will reach the highest amount of people with the time that I have and the money that I have? That's utilizing leverage. And if you can allow your activities to be guided by that question, oftentimes that'll lead you to find the best ways to grow your business. And I'm going to share a few specific ones that have been leveraged and very beneficial for me, but these aren't the only ones. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've been building a business online, what are the ways in which you have found the most leverage? So I'm going to outline just a couple of them. So the first one that comes to mind, if you're just getting started online, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here and give you guys just a quick recent example. So I'm going to share my screen. This is way number one, and this was a way that got me really excited when I got online. So way number one is if you can create a piece of content that shows up for a lot of people, that's leverage. So this is my best performing video on the current YouTube channel that I'm building. And I believe the keyword is, should you pay off your car loan early? So people are coming to YouTube, and here is my video. Is it good to pay off a car loan early? This video has had 6,300 views in 9 months. Okay. So yeah, there's videos out there that have done better than that for sure. I've had videos that have done better than that for sure, but let's take this 6,300 divided by 9. That means 700 people a month are finding this video with me doing absolutely nothing other than I created the video. That's all I did. So 700 divided by 30, because there's 30 days in a month, that means 23 people a day. So check this out, guys. 23 people a day are finding my video, and 23 people a day. I've got so many controls going on. 23 people a day are finding my video with me doing what? Nothing. With how much time? No time. With how much money? No money, right? So if I was to look at my day to day and I was going to say, how can I reach 23 people today, just like manually? The fastest way I could think of is to send 23 Facebook messages. Boom. But how much time would that take me? And then the follow up and all that stuff. So I'm not poo-pawing that. Like, that's a legitimate way to grow your business. But it's really cool that I have 23 people finding my video every day without me doing anything. So that's leverage way number one, is create a piece of content that can get in front of people and automatically invite them to go check out what you're doing. So that's way number one, create a piece of content that's leveraged. Way number two, which I will be honest and transparent, I am not a master of. I really do not have great skills in this at all, but it has to be mentioned because it's another way to do what I just mentioned, but without having to create the content. And that is called placing an ad. So if you can place an ad and use a little bit of your money, now you can potentially get the 23 a day or the 50 a day or whatever you can get, people seeing your message without you being there. That's another leverage point. So you can leverage your time, you can leverage your money. The third highly leveraged point that I think is good to think about as an online marketer, this is especially, so I'm going to share 4 with you today. The third one that has been really valuable to me is once you start growing an email list, sending an email to your email list is a highly leveraged activity, it seems to me. Right now, I have a few thousand subscribers on my email list. So if I'm asking myself the question, what can I do today to reach the most people in the lowest amount of time with the lowest amount of money? And I've got 3,000 people on my email list. It seems like writing an email would be a good, highly leveraged way to reach those people, right? Like, would that make sense? So content that people automatically find, an ad that people automatically find. And once you start building an email list, writing an email is a very highly leveraged activity. Now, the fourth one I'm going to share, and I want to ask you guys, am I missing like really important ones that you have discovered on your journey? Comment below. Let's learn from each other if I'm missing something, because all I have is my experience, but you guys have your experience, and together we can come up with some different ideas. The fourth highly leveraged activity that I want to highlight that is probably not commonly thought of as a leveraged activity is audience building. Audience building. So audience building is where you are able to create some kind of content that people consistently tune into. They like the value they're getting. They like the energy you're sending. They like the vision you're painting for their lives and their future. And they're like, wow, I don't want to just watch today's video. I want to watch tomorrow's video and the next video and the next video. And you can do that via video. You can do that via podcast. There's all kinds of ways you can build an audience. But the reason building an audience is leverage, there's actually probably a few of them. But one is, if one person tunes in today and far off into the future, then that gives you many opportunities to serve that person really without any extra invitation, without making another video, without placing another ad. It's just people are coming back because of the value you're investing into their lives. The other thing about audience building is when you build an audience, one of the things that I found I've been so thankful for is that there are people in my audience that are so bought in to where we're going, where we're striving to go, and the change we're striving to be in the world, that your audience will help you lead. So when I first started building an audience, I was doing a daily conference call every day, Monday through Friday, doing it all by myself. Now, I only do that conference call once a week, but the conference call is still going on because people in my audience saw that this was a good thing and said, I want to help lead. So now I'm able to keep the good thing going, but with less of my personal time invested in leading it and planning it and all these kinds of things. And that's leverage, right? That's leverage. The other thing about building an audience is if people like what you have, they will share it with other people. And that's a form of leverage because now what you're doing is so good that people want to talk about it and bring others into it. That's another form of leverage. And all of this audience piece that I just mentioned is one of the reasons that I started this Good Parts Challenge, is because I've seen the benefits of audience building now in my career for 2 years or 20 years, almost 14 years. And I want to do the best I can to inspire others to realize that building an audience is a form of leverage and it's worth doing. The other thing with audience building that has been helpful for me to realize, I think, is that if writing an email to my email list is a great form of leverage, the next question is, okay, well, what do I send my email list? Hopefully, you're going to send them something valuable. And can you create something valuable that you can send to your email list that also potentially brings you new members of your audience? And this is the beautiful thing about social media, where, I'm here on this live. We've got people commenting, Geo's commenting. Thank you so much. But all these people are commenting. Bill, Minister Christian, Geo, Christian, these guys are commenting. So what does that do on social media? If you are doing a live on social media and people are commenting because they like what you're throwing down, now you're having your audience help you push your content up into the algorithms, where now the social media companies potentially will show your content to people who don't know who you are. So if you can create a piece of content on social media, build an audience with it over time, you're now having the opportunity for just your time invested. How much time does it take to do a live? You do a live in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You choose. It doesn't matter. You choose. But if you're consistently creating content, now you have a piece of content that has the chance of spreading through social media, bringing you more people. So you're getting more with that little bit of time that you've invested. And then you can take that same piece of content and then send it out to your email list, all the people that have already subscribed. Because here's what sometimes happens is people will find you on social media. They're like, wow, this is really good. I want to subscribe. I want this free gift or whatever. And they may not remember to come back the next day. But thankfully, you've collected their email and they're on your email list. So that's a part of your daily leverage where you can reach more people, which gives you the opportunity to serve more people, which gives you the opportunity to earn more income from services rendered. It's not just that like you're just getting from everybody. The fundamental idea, I think, to remember is you give, you serve, you love, you lead, you lift, you inspire, you educate. And because you're doing all of those things in a good way, people like what you're doing. They join your audience. And if they'll stay with your audience, here's another thing, is they'll continue to buy whatever you recommend as long as it's good. For how long? a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. I just got a message from one of my friends who you could say is in my audience, Bobby. Um, Great guy, great leader. Shout out to him. He's been doing consistent lives on social media. He's been with me for a long time in my primary business, which is helping me to earn a residual income. But last night he messaged me and he said, "Hey, Paul, what's your link for this really cool thing that I saw that you were a part of? It's a tool. I won't go into detail on it, but I said, thank you for asking. And I sent him my link. So because Bobby trusts me and he's staying tuned in to what I'm doing, because why? Because I'm consistent. I'm consistent and I love my audience and I want to only do things that help them. Now, my one income that I was earning from him, which is a residual. Now I have another residual from Bobby as a customer. And who knows what else may happen in the future. I'm not one of those guys that's always looking for things to sell to people. I personally don't think that's a great thing to do. But when you run into things that are beneficial, if you've served your audience, and this is one of those things where it's like, Earl Nightingale in one of his books says, he gives this example of like, people will run up to the stove, the wood stove, and they'll say, give me some heat, give me some heat. And he says, how well does that work? No, what you do is you put in the wood first. You start the fire first, and then the stove gives you the heat. And that's a really great idea to have in your consciousness with this audience building leverage point. It's one of those things where you just have to get into a space where you're inspired to give in your best way far off into the future. It's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's every day far off into the future. And my experience made me a better communicator. It's given me so much soul pay because when you serve people, they're appreciative and that makes you feel like you're adding value to their lives. And that because that fire is burning, I have an opportunity where if it's going to be good for them and I can earn income, and that's like a way to secure your income regardless of what happens in the marketplace. Because if you have people's trust because you've served your audience, it doesn't really matter what happens. There's always something else you can do to keep the mission moving forward. So anyway, I've rambled for a while, but I wanted to share that, leverage, getting more with less. Question to ask yourself, what can I do today that will allow me to get the most bang for my buck and or bang for my time, meaning reach the most people? And some of these answers will vary depending upon where you're at in your journey. You may not have an email list of 3,000 people. You may have 0. So sending an email to your email list today would not be the best leverage activity. It would be creating a piece of content that would get in front of a lot of people or placing an ad so you can start building an email list. But that's the question you want to ask. So that's my content today, guys. I hope you found some value in it. If you're finding me for the first time, which I hope, I also love the return viewers. I love all of you guys, but if you're finding me for the first time, you got value from today's content and want more from me, I'd love to encourage you to subscribe to me on social media. That will make sure the social media gods show you my future content or the best way, because we don't always know what the social media people are cooking up in their crazy laboratories of algorithmic nonsense and goodness. But the best way to stay in touch for sure is to go to my website here, paulhutchings.net/GIFTS, pick up a free gift and subscribe to my email list. And you may just find a very pleasant surprise on this page that can be a great blessing to you in your life. So with that, I'm going to come to the comments here. And what do you guys think? Was this content valuable for you today? Did it add something to your day? Did you have any other leverage ideas to share with me? I would love to hear. And I'm looking through the comments here to find ones that I haven't highlighted yet. Tiffany is shouting out Minister Christian and Rita Joy. Thank you for that, Tiffany. Arnita is also shouting out Minister Christian and Rita Joy. Thank you for that, Arnita. And Arnita is shouting out Bill Fever. So thank you for that, Arnita. Janine shouts out Bill Fever. Way to go, Bill. And Gio says, you mastered your marketing presentation on the toilet. That's exactly what happened. Really, it's funny. I won't read that out loud because, there may be kids tuning into this. But you parents, you can read what's on the screen right now if you want. Bill says, I think posting on social media every day. Did that this morning. Emailed my list. Planning a live later today. All the content we put out there stays forever. so it may be a lever for the future. Well said, Bill. Bill Fever, branding. Okay, so branding is another leverage point. Um, and yes, I think that is a leverage point. And I guess it depends on what we mean by branding. So, you could say, my branding. What is my branding? I wear this shirt that has this prosperity tree on it. It says Freedom Crusaders Alliance. And so, um, here's what I'll say about branding is if you can be relatively consistent with your message, whether that's your vision, whether that's some of the content you do, some of the ideas you share. In other words, if people can come to a place where they have a good idea of what to expect from you, yes, I think that's a leverage point. Because if someone tunes in and they're like, okay, I'm getting this from Paul today, but then tomorrow, what am I going to get from Paul? He might jump on and be totally different and talk about a whole bunch of, random things that don't add value to my life. Then you've lost that leverage. But yeah, branding, I think, is a way to build trust via consistency over time that gives the market, what's the market? People, a consistent idea of what they might expect should they decide to tune into you. So yeah, I think branding is definitely a leverage point. It's a higher level. And I'm not sure it's the most important, but yeah, I like that idea. Think about your branding. Like who are you? What's your vision? What are your values? Where are you going? How are you trying to help people? So yeah, I like that. Christian says watching live. Gio says with the video, if you had a blog and embedded your video, that's search traffic leverage with not much extra work. Another great point. And that's one of the things that I did in my early days is I would work on getting my YouTube video to show up on YouTube. And then I would also take that same video, put it on a blog, and then do what I needed to do to get that blog to also show up. So yeah, that's another great leverage point. Thanks for that, Gio. Christian says, Arnita Webb, thank you. Robert says, yes, always. Yay. Thank you so much, Robert. And shout out to Robert. He's going through a health challenge right now, but you wouldn't know it listening to his voice. He spoke on our morning call today, which, by the way, if you're curious about that, it's called the Grow Rich Mastermind, and it is amazing. And you can learn more about that by visiting my links page here. The button, I think, says Grow Yourself. It's an amazing, amazing call. But Robert, he was on the call this morning, and when Robert speaks, he's filled with energy, faith, excitement, positivity, and he's dialing in from potentially a hospital bed. And that's just such an inspiring example. So thank you so much for that, Robert. And Danny says, I get value daily from you. Yay. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing day. Get out there, take action, go for your dreams. Continue to ask yourselves the best questions and allow those answers to guide your path forward. And I believe we all have better things waiting for us in our futures. All right, guys, take care and bye for now.